All right, just testing it out. Out here, going for a bit of an adventure on the lake. See what happens, see if there's any beach out there. But yeah, I know I've been making kind of lame videos lately, but that's all I know how to do so far. So just gonna have to bear with me, guys. I'm trying. Just learning how to put all this shit together, editing and whatnot. But we'll see if we can do a little better today. Yeah, we'll get out there. All right, all right, all right, all right. We out here. Comox Lake 2026. Yep. I'm trying. Paddle a bit. Keeping camera on. I'm trying some new settings. Steady here. It's already pretty low for this time of the year. So for people that don't know, this is the watershed for Courtney. Not sure about Comox, but for sure Courtney. Boats are allowed on it, which is surprising, but that's the way it is. A lot of watersheds don't allow boats, motorized boats. Some don't even allow swimming. I've never come across one that doesn't, but supposedly they exist. I guess makes sense in some ways. I think this one's always allowed boats because the town was so small for so long. And now the population's just exploded here. Unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side you're on. Some people hate it, some people love it. People that are in business, I guess, and welcome the growth. First moved back here in 2017, this lake was just empty. There's nobody here. You'd hardly see a boat all day. But now it's becoming like the Okanagan, big powerful wake boats, and they seem to just hang around the Cumberland campground area too. Like if I had a boat, I'd be way down there, end of the lake, all by myself. It's massive down there. It really opens up. They all seem to hang around the areas where people that don't have a boat can get to, like myself with a paddleboard or hiking down the lakeside. But it is what it is, I guess. Most are pretty considerate. They slow down in the areas they're supposed to slow down in, and they watch for, human-powered things like paddleboards and kayaks. But some don't have any etiquette at all, and they just race right by you, try to tip you over. And then you have the music. It seems everybody with a boat has horrible taste in music for some reason. I don't know what it is. Either it's some crappy pop country or, Nickelback or some bullshit. Dance music or whatever. I get it, you're on a boat, you're having fun and stuff, but everybody else has to listen to it and it travels across the water. And, you know, if you don't like their music, well, too bad. Like, you have to listen to it, and it's just seems to be the way things are going. I mean, I come out here myself to have peace and quiet and get away from noise and music and everything else, but you know, that's my opinion. Right or wrong or indifferent, but it's not as bad as Okanagan Lakes. There's not as many meatheads yet, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before there is. Guys chucking, you know the type, chucking beer bottles in the water and getting super loaded and fights on the beach and that kind of shit. I hope it never gets to that, but I can only imagine it will one day. Population sprawling like it is. But right now, pretty good. Let me know in the comments if you guys agree with me, disagree with me. I don't care either way. Nothing bugs me really anymore. And also, would you like to see videos like my other ones where I'm just not talking? It's just silence. Oh, this end of the beach is really populated, which is weird. Usually it's the other end, but that's what happens. People go further and further trying to get away from other people. Just like I'm doing. And you gotta go pretty far these days. I could even devote one channel to just silence. One channel to where I say stuff. Like I said in the beginning, I don't really know what I'm doing here, so I worked construction my whole life, along with other jobs, tree planting. I operated snowcats up at a cat ski lodge for a while. I was a ocean kayak guide a couple summers, but mostly in construction, carpentry. so with the help of you good people. Well, I don't know if that was recording or not. Stupid GoPro just turns off. Never once, apparently. I've said this before, but I would never recommend GoPro to anybody. This is just a, whatever, 10. But it's just done some weird stuff. Just shuts off. Screen goes black. Take the battery out. Can't get it to come back on, and then, you know, a couple hours later it comes back on. I mean, what good's that? Like you're trying to capture stuff. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Maybe they've gotten better over the years for that, but as far as I'm concerned, I'll never buy another one. One time I was paddling back from around about here, and the wind was really strong, and I was sticking close to the shoreline trying to keep out of the wind, but I felt my paddle was kind of rattling, and it felt like maybe the handle up top was coming loose or something. What had happened was one of the glue had let go on the paddle end. So I thought maybe I had the paddle just extended too far and it was kind of loose at the joint. So I pushed down on the handle and it blew air through the length of the paddle. Blew the paddle right out, and it popped off. And I saw it floating behind me, but the wind was so strong that it was blowing it away from me at quite a pace. And by the time I turned around, the thing had gone underwater, and I stuck my head underwater and tried to find it, see if I could swim down to it, but it's so deep out in this section here, and it's just a sheer cliff that goes down. I don't know how far, but probably quite a ways. And she was gone, so I had to paddle it back like a surfboard for a couple K. But this company, I emailed them, Z-Ray, and said, hey, the paddle came loose. Why don't you guys put a rivet through that instead of just glue? And they got back to me right away and said, hey, we're so sorry to hear that. Even though this thing's like, you know, so I bought it in 2017. And I didn't really expect them to do anything other than maybe say sorry, or, you know. And I asked them if I could buy a replacement paddle, just the end of it. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That sucks. And he sent me a full paddle at no cost. And I was just shocked. I mean, the thing was quite a few years old. I can't remember exactly when it fell off, a couple of years back now. But I would highly recommend the paddleboard company Z-Ray. This thing is, you know, knock on wood, it's an inflatable, you know, it hasn't got a hole in it or anything. I do carry a life jacket with me underneath the straps, just in case, because it'll still float the actual paddleboard. and myself, it'd still be awful because I mean, if it happened right here, you can imagine, like, there's nowhere for me to climb up. It's just cliffs over here. As far back as there. And yeah, that would suck. I'd have to flag down a boat or something. You know, I could climb up onto there, but I'd have to just leave the stuff, you know, hanging out there and try and scramble up this cliff. And there is a walking trail up there, and I could walk back to the car. Again, the camera shuts down. Oh, it's too hot or what? It's not even that hot out right now. But yeah, stupid GoPro. Maybe I should dunk it under water. Well, hopefully it's waterproof. I guess it is. It keeps turning off though. I don't know. Things are a piece of garbage. Whatever. That's all I got for now. There's a little spot down the lake here. It's kind of a secret little spot, but it only makes itself known when the water's really low. I don't think it's going to be low enough this time of year to make an appearance, but and it's quite a ways down there, but when the water's low enough, it's just a little shelf that appears, and it's nice and flat and gravel. But one time I was there, somebody had built a little kind of almost like a little fish catchment out of stone, so you can tell it was human made, obviously. And there was also an arrow laying in the water, right where the fish catchment was. I thought, whoa, that's kind of weird. What's an arrow doing here? And then, you know, I just climbed up on the little rock beach, set out my towel. As soon as I laid down, I heard like what sounded like human footsteps. And I know deer and rabbits and even squirrels and stuff can almost sound human, you know. But this sounded eerily human, like something was stalking, or a cougar or something, you know, something. It sounded like something was stalking through the grass, and I just immediately got my shit together and I was gone. I was out on the board, just right out in the water, looking back, and the hairs on the back of my neck were standing up. Definitely something wasn't, you know, like I said, it could have been just a deer or something, you know what I mean? But I wasn't taking any chances. And recently, something quite eerie and ominous has happened at this lake. And I don't know if I should really be bringing this up or anything, but you know, I don't want to be a downer on my YouTube channel here, but there was a woman that went missing. She was camped, and I don't know if she was on the Cumberland side or the Courtenay side, but she was camped, and her tent was found and just no trace of her. And I can't help but stop. I can't help but think about that. You know, quite often in a month. You know, I'll at least think about it a couple times. Like, and this spot down here, I kind of, you know, your mind, you know, kind of links things together sometimes, whether they're correct to be linked together or not, you know, I don't know, but my mind can't help but link the two together. Like, if there's some creep living down here, or like, nobody knows what happened. Nobody's heard from her. And this was, I think, last fall, and you know, her family said, like, she's not one to not keep in touch. She wasn't depressed. She wasn't, you know, any of that kind of stuff. They ruled that out. But you never know, you know. People can change like a light switch, you know, just a flick of a light switch, just blink, you know, all of a sudden you're depressed enough or whatever, you know. But it's quite weird for a little city like Courtenay to experience something like that. And you know, it's just so tragic, like, to be the family and not know what happened to your daughter, your child. I can't even imagine. There's just nothing worse. In my mind, there's just nothing worse in the world than that. So anyway, that's just what happened. Don't mean to bring anybody down, or I know you're supposed to be nothing but good vibes on YouTube. Nobody wants to hear about just depressing stuff or anything, but it's just what happened. It's just unfortunate, very unfortunate, and I hope that someday they'll get some answers. And I just don't know, with all the technology that we have these days, like drones and everything, I don't know how somebody could just disappear like that, and they weren't able to use drones to search the area and find anything, any kind of clue. Like, she just vanished. You know, did she fall in the lake, or did she go for a hike and an animal got her? Did she go for a hike on these rocky cliffs here and stumbled and fell down and, you know, hit her head and then went into the water and is down here? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, anyway, I should just shut up. It's just creepy. It's just really fucking creepy that it happened out here in this beautiful place, in this, you know, relatively small city. I know people go missing in the woods all the time, and you know, there are a lot of cougars out here. There are a ton on Vancouver Island. And I'm, you know, but you'd think if it was an animal, there would be some, you know, clothing or shoes or something that the animal left behind, you know, while dragging. Okay, I'm just getting even worse at this storytelling thing here. Let's go take a look at this cool tree. All right. Back at it. I'm just gonna go a little bit further. See, it's just almost tropical waters in here. I'm surprised that's that low already, that little beach, because it's a little concerning. I actually don't mind if the summer is just cooler and we don't get a super hot summer like we normally get out here. I'm totally fine with that. I kind of have to work in it, even though I do finishing and work mostly inside these days. It still gets hot in there. There's no air conditioning or anything, so you're just relying on breezes and coming through both doors. Go ahead back. You can see the wind starting to just pick up a little bit. Pretty much drift down. I don't understand the currents in this lake. I know that they should be going from south to east, because that's where the water goes out of the dam, is in the east, or west to east, sorry. Directions are hard for me on the island, even though I've been out here a long time and many times. I just, it's bizarre to me. But yeah, we are heading east right now. And the outflow, the Puntledge River outflow, is where I basically put in will, you know, that's probably the current is the only way I can get back. Is I'm sure the current is flowing this way, the way I'm going, to the east. But the wind is what will, the little breeze seems to be always blowing the same way, which is weird because you'd think it would be coming from the cooler mountains blowing downwards onto the lake, but I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff, to be honest with you. I don't know shit about shit. All I know is it is a beautiful day and I'm not working. So, hey, it's all good. Still one of my favorite places to be is this lake. I don't know what it is about it. I've been to a lot of lakes. I keep coming back to this one, I guess because it's close to me. But yeah, it's just beautiful. I don't know. It's getting a little too populated now. You can hear lots of boats. Well, like I said, they're usually fairly respectful. I can't even talk today. The history of this lake, I don't quite know all of it, but I know there was some coal mining around here, and there's a lot of pillars still sticking out of the water back there. Maybe on the way back I'll go through them. And there was some sort of bridge, you know, and I'm gonna have to do a whole thing on the lake now that I've opened my big ignorant mouth. But you'll see all sorts of stuff like this. You know, these sticking out, and that might just be forest, but I mean there's cable around them and stuff, so I don't know exactly. I have looked it up before from time to time. I have to look it up again. There's a lot of history in this area. There's a Chinatown here. I don't know if that's, I think they still call them Chinatowns. I'm not sure if that's still politically correct or what, but I think the sign even says Chinatown. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But so there was coal mining. There's a beach back there at the east end. It's all black. It's all remnants of coal mining. It doesn't leave your feet black or anything. It doesn't stain your blankets, your clothes, or anything. But it's not like dusty like coal. I think it's been washed so many times by the rains and everything else that it doesn't still have all that. Oh, saw a little fish jump right there. Oh, there it is. The water's so clear here. I mean, you can see right down to the bottom. Pretty incredibly clear. But yeah. A lot of coal mining, and I'm not sure what else, but I think it was just coal. And in the little town of Cumberland, there's a museum there. So maybe that'll be one of my videos, going through the Cumberland Coal Museum. See what's up. Give you guys the real scoop. Here we got the piers I was talking about. They're still out in the lake here. Oh. Whole bunch of them. A whole bunch of them. So this was part of some bridge, I'm gonna say. They're all the way down there. Now I don't know why they haven't been removed. And like I say, I'm gonna get on that story as soon as I get home of what happened out here as far as coal mining and whatnot. And what this was actually, I swear to God, I remember something about a train that came out this way.
So I did some digging, and this lake is really steeped in history, like a lot of different history. And I'll leave a link to the Cumberland Museum website, and you can read the whole history for yourself. But just a brief history is just for thousands of years. Of course, it was used by First Nations to travel in between the Alberni Valley and Comox, which is an incredible thing in itself. Like, just imagining anybody knows the area knows that that'd be a long, incredible journey to do back then. Then in 1884, the land was granted in a deed, I guess, from the government to take away the land from the First Nations. No surprise there. Uh, and along with about 20% of the east coast of Vancouver Island to coal baron Robert Dunsmuir for his promise to build a railroad on Vancouver Island. Now, there was a railroad on Vancouver Island. It's shut down now, but I'm not sure if he built it or not. But then in 1887, he divests 890 hectares of the land, and it's sold to the Rockefeller Group. Now, I don't know if that's the same Rockefellers is in the U.S. or not. I'm imagining so. For $2 an acre. So what he wanted to do was he planned to float logs down the Puntledge River um, to a mill, I would imagine, and but the river was too shallow, so the land was sold again to the Comox Logging Company. Um, the lake itself, the topography or whatever you'd call it, the statistics of it, the lake has a perimeter of 41 kilometers and an average depth of 61 meters or 200 feet. That's pretty incredible. And when you paddle along the cliff edge, you can see the cliffs go down. And it is deep out there, about midway. It's definitely not that deep in the middle section, but it's an average depth. So pretty crazy history. And there's more. There was a whole union struggle, and a guy named Ginger Goodwin was killed as he hid out from, I guess, the authorities or something. Um, and so there's a way more to it. And this is just this one little lake has all this history to it. But like I say, I'll leave the link in the description to the Cumberland Museum, and you can look at the whole record for yourself.
Well, I found the granddaddy of them all. I've never seen this one before. But you definitely wouldn't want to hit that in your boat. Because that's going to split your boat right in two. It goes down there a ways. The granddaddy. That's probably the biggest one I've seen.
That's what she said. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yikes.
We'll see you on the next one.
Wow.